Hi, it's Dan, and I'm back again, and I wanted to show off my new Lovecraft book. I just got this off of eBay, The Poetry of H.P. Lovecraft. I'm really excited. If you hear any strange noises, my dog Daisy is asleep, and she always snores through my videos. Okay. Poetry of H.P. Lovecraft. That's my dog snoring. H.P. Lovecraft. Howard Phillips Lovecraft was born in 1890 in Rhode Island, USA. Although a sickly boy, Lovecraft began writing at a very young age, quickly developing a deep and abiding interest in science. At just 16, he was writing a monthly astronomy column for his local newspaper. However, in 1908, Lovecraft suffered a nervous breakdown and failed to get into university, sparking a period of 5 years in which he all but vanished. In 1913, Lovecraft was invited to join the UAPA, United Amateur Press Association, a development which reinvigorated his writing. In 1917, he began to focus on fiction, producing such well-known early stories as Dagon and A Reminiscence of Dr. Samuel Johnson. In 1924, Lovecraft married and moved to New York, but he disliked life there intensely and struggled to find work. A few years later, penniless and now divorced, he returned to Rhode Island. It was here during the last decade of his life that Lovecraft produced the vast majority of his best-known fiction, including The Dunwich Horror, The Shadow over Innsmouth, The Thing on the Doorstep, and arguably his most famous story, The Call of Cthulhu. Having suffered from cancer of the small intestines for more than a year, Lovecraft died in March of 1937. H.P. Lovecraft is my favorite author. Daisy. She's snoring. She always snores through my videos. That's why I made a video of her snoring. So I could prove it was her. Not some weird monster I keep under the table or something. To Pan. Seated in a woodland glen, by a shallow, reedy stream, once I fell a musing when I was lulled into a dream. From the brook a shape arose, half a man and half a goat. Hooves it had instead of toes, and a beard adorned its throat. On a set of rustic reeds, sweetly played this hybrid man. Not cared I for earthly needs, for I knew that this was Pan. Nymphs and satyrs gather around to enjoy the lively sound. All too soon I woke in pain and returned to haunts of men. But in rural vales I'd fain live and hear Pan's pipes again. First published in the Tryout, April 1919. I don't read out loud very well. That's why I've been practicing and doing it on my channel to hopefully get better. I love to read. I just don't do it well out loud. Well, that's a long poem. Okay. I guess the music behind the poem will be my dog snoring. Sorry. I'm going to read A Garden. There's an ancient garden that I see sometimes in dreams, where the very Maytime sunlight plays and glows with special gleams, where the gaudy tinted blossoms seem to wither into gray, and the crumbling walls and pillars waken thoughts of yesterday. There are vines in nooks and crannies, and there's moss about the pool, and the tangled weedy thicket chokes the arbor dark and cool. In the silent sunken pathways, springs and herbage sparse and spare, where the musty scent of dead things dull the fragrance of the air. There is not a living creature in the lonely space around, and the hedge accomplished quiet never echoes to a sound. As I walk and wait and listen, I will often seek to find. As I gaze upon the gray scenes I feel I knew before, then a sadness settles over me and tremors set to start. For I know the flowers are shriveling hopes. The garden is in my heart. First published in The Vagrant, spring 1927. Okay, I'll read the house. 'Tis a grove-circled dwelling set close to a hill, where the branches are telling strange legends of ill. Over timber so old that they breathe of the dead, crawl the vines green and cold, by strange nourishment fed, and no man knows the juices they suck from the depths of their dank slimy bed. In the gardens are growing tall blossoms and fair, each pallid bloom throwing perfume on the air. But the afternoon sun, with its shining red rays, makes the picture loom dun on the curious gaze, and above the sweet scent of the blossoms rise odors of numberless days. The rank grasses are waving on terrace and lawn, dim memories saving of things that have gone. The stones of the walks are encrusted and wet, and a strange spirit stalks when the red sun has set. And the soul of the watcher is filled with faint pictures he fain would forget. It was in the hot June time I stood by that scene, when the gold rays of noontime beat bright on the green. But I shivered with cold, groping feebly for light, as a picture unrolled, and my age-spanning sight saw the time I had been there before flash like a fury out of the night. First published in the National Enquirer, December 1919. The Nightmare Lake. There is a lake in distant Zion, beyond the wonted haunts of man, where broods alone in a hideous state a spirit dead and desolate, a spirit ancient and unholy, heavy with fearsome melancholy, which from the waters dull and dense draw vapors cursed with pestilence. Around the banks, a mire of clay, sprawl things offensive in decay. And curious birds that reach that shore are seen by mortals nevermore. Here shines by day the searing sun, on glassy wastes beheld by none. And here by night pale moonbeams flow into the depths that yawn below. In nightmare only is it told what scenes beneath the beams unfold. What scenes too old for human sight lie sunken there in endless night. For in the depths there's only pace, the shadow of a voiceless race. When midnight redolent of ill, I saw that lake asleep and still, while in the lurid sky there rode a gibbous moon that glowed and glowed. I saw the stretching marshy shore, and the foul things those marshes bore. Lizards and snakes convulse and dying, ravens and vampires putrefying. All these and hovering over the dead, narcophagi that on them fed. And as the dreadful moon climbed high, frightening the stars from out the sky, I saw the lake's dull water glow, till sinking things appeared below. There shone unnumbered phantoms down the towers of forgotten town, the tarnished domes and mossy walls, weed tangled spires and empty halls, deserted fanes and vaults of dread, and streets of gold uncoveted. These I beheld and saw beside a horde of shapeless shadows glide, a noxious horde which to my glance seemed moving in a hideous dance, round slimy scepters that lay beside a never-traveled way. Straight from those tombs a heaving rose that vexed the water's dull repose, while lethal shades of upper space howled at the moon's sardonic face. Then sank the lake within its bed, sucked down to caverns of the dead, till from the reeking new stripped earth curled fetid fumes of noxious birth. About the city nigh under cover the monstrous dancing shadows hovered, when lo there opt in sudden stir the portal of each septor. No ear may learn, no tongue may tell what nameless horror then befell. I see that lake, that moon agrin, that city and the things within. Waking, I pray that on the shore the nightmare lake may sink no more. First published in The Vagrant, December 1919. Sorry, I'm murdering these, but I am trying to get better at reading out loud. And my beloved Lovecraft uses such big words that I've not heard before sometimes. Okay. Okay, we'll read the cats. And that'll be it, I think. Sorry, I'm dying of thirst. Camera's refocusing. Great. All right. The cats. Babbles of blocks to the high heavens towering, flames of fertility swirling below. Poisonous fungi in brick and stone flowering, lanterns that shudder and deathlights that glow. Black monstrous bridges across oily rivers, cobwebs of cables by nameless things spun. Catacombs deep, whose dank chaos delivers streams of live fodder that rots in the sun. Color and splendor, disease and decaying, shrieking and ringing and scrambling insane. Rabbles exotic to stranger gods praying, jumbles of odor that stifle the brain. Legions of cats from the alleys nocturnal, howling and lean in the glare of the moon, screaming the future with mouthings infernal, yelling the burden of Pluto's red rune. Tall towers and pyramids, ivied and crumbling, bats that shriek low in the weed-cumbered streets, bleak broken bridges over rivers whose rumbling joins with no voice as the thick tide retreats. Belfries that blackly against the moon totter, caverns whose mouths are by mosses effaced, and living to answer the wind and the water, only the lean cats that howl in the waste. First published in February 1925. And I'll leave it there because that's enough. And I'll read some more later. I promise. Wait. Ooh. Oh, I saw something. I can't find it. Daisy. Okay, stop. Okay, I found one more. Just a brief one. Nyarlathotep. I have to touch on that. And at the last from inner Egypt came the strange dark one to whom the fellows bowed, silent and lean and cryptically proud, and wrapped in fabrics red as sunset flame. Throngs pressed around, frantic for his commands, but leaving could not tell what they had heard, while through the nations spread the awestruck word that wild beasts followed him and licked his hands. Soon from the sea a Noxus birth began, forgotten lands with weedy spires of gold. The ground was cleft and mad auroras rolled down on the quaking citadels of man. Then crushing what he had chanced to mold and play, the idiot chaos blew Earth's dust away. And sometime I'll read all these, but I just like anything with Nyarlathotep. Amazing. Cool. So neat. I like this book. Poetry of H.P. Lovecraft, including the essays, the allowable rhyme, and metrical regularity. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me and putting up with me brutalizing and murdering these. I'm trying, and I am trying to get better at reading out loud. So again, thanks for putting up with me. I hope to see you again in another video soon. Den out.